So let us solve it here. Fine. So as I told you yesterday, whenever there is a numerical in which firing pulse is applied to the SCR for certain duration of time, in order to solve these numericals, what we have to do is only one thing, that for the duration of that firing pulse, we have to replace the SCR with a short circuit. So we had made a mention here that in order to solve such numericals, assume SCR as a closed switch or short circuit for the duration of the pulse. Same thing we are going to do here. Okay. So given E in equal to 200 volts, latching current of SCR is given as 4 milliamperes. Load side, there is no resistance, there is a pure inductor here, and we are supposed to find out T min to ensure latching. Now the point is, assuming SCR to act as closed switch, that is short circuit, during the period T min, and redrawing the circuit, we have SCR acting as a closed switch, we have the inductor, okay, so we have L 0.1 henries, and this is the SCR, and the duration for which this short circuit exists is T min. So now current will flow here, and you know that this is a simple circuit wherein an inductor is driven by a source E in. So we know that since the inductor current Li, okay fine, just a minute before this. So what we will do, now our system is like this, E in and here we have my voltage VL of T. We know that inductor voltage VL of T is L into DIL of T by dt. Okay. Now we know that IL of T will be equal to 1 over L integration of VL of T dt 0 to T. But VL of T is nothing but equal to E in. But VL of T is equal to E in, okay, which is constant. So IL of t is 1 over L integration of E in dt 0 to t, and you know that t is equal to t min, so we can say IL of t is 1 over L into E in into integration of dt 0 to t min, which is equal to E in upon L into T min. Okay. Now this particular current in the circuit, this current should be greater than or equal to IL to ensure latching. Okay. So IL of T should be greater than or equal to IL. That means E in upon L T min 4 milliamperes. L is 0.1 henries upon 200. Therefore, T min should be greater than or equal to 2 microseconds. This is how you solve this problem. So yes, we have verified. Answer is correct. Yeah. Now we are going to discuss something which actually always creates a confusion among the students, especially during the Viva. That is, there are three things now. See, we have the heading which is called as gate triggering. Under this, we have three things. So this is types of triggering. It is not gate triggering. SCR triggering. Types of triggering. Second is called as turn on methods. And third is called as triggering circuits. Types of triggering circuits. So types of triggering we already have discussed. Three types. DC triggering, AC triggering, and pulse triggering. Turn on methods are of different types. First method is called as high forward voltage, which is never used. Second is called as thermal triggering. Third is called as light activated triggering. And fourth is called as high dV by dt triggering. Types of triggering circuits are again classified as R triggering. Here in R triggering, we can get alpha only less than equal to 90 degrees. You cannot achieve firing angles greater than 90 degrees in R triggering. If you add one capacitor here, and you will have alpha greater than 90 but less than 180. So you will get your alpha greater than 90, but you cannot reach up to 180 degrees. The third triggering which we are using extensively in lab is UJT triggering. Okay, so UJT triggering will give us alpha greater than equal to 0 degrees, less than equal to 180 degrees. Okay, so the disadvantage of R triggering is that you will have alphas only up to 90 degrees. So alpha is less than equal to 90 degrees. If you use RC triggering, you will have alpha greater than 90, but you will not reach equal to 180. UJT triggering is the best. You can have alphas ranging from equal to or greater than 0 to less than equal to 180. That is why UJT triggering is always preferred in all the circuits. So which are the things which we have covered till now? So we have already covered types of triggering. Types of triggering circuits are not there in syllabus, but UJT triggering is there. So we will study it eventually. So we've not done that now. And today we are going to discuss this thing, that is turn on methods. And that actually leads us to this topic called as high dU by dt triggering, where we are going to study what is called as a transient model of SCR or RC model of an SCR. So over to turn on methods. So first method is high forward voltage. This method is actually known to you. High forward voltage means SCR is turned on in absence of gate drive, by making the input voltage E in greater than or equal to breakover voltage. So for example, for the SCR TYN612 whose breakover voltage equal to 600 volts, E in should be greater than or equal to 600 volts to latch it provided the device current IA exceeds the latching current IL. Okay, so necessary and sufficient condition. What is the comment? The comment is this method is never used. I told you before only that it is not practical to latch an SCR in the absence of gate drive. This is never used. So we can say high forward voltage means nothing but E in greater than breakover voltage and Ig equal to 0. That is no gate drive. The second method is called as thermal triggering. So what is the concept here? The concept here is that we already know. So we know that when SCR is forward bias, that is anode is positive with respect to cathode, the junctions J1, J3 are forward biased and the junction J2 is reverse biased, and that is why if we can somehow break down the junction J2 and we can have sufficient charge carriers crossing J2, then SCR can be latched provided the device current IA exceeds latching current IL. So what we do here is that the method which we have used to break down junction J2 till now is actually gate triggering, right? So I can also write a comment here. Applying a gate current IG greater than or equal to IGT is one way of breaking J2. Okay, but we know that although SCR is a 4-layer and 3-junction device, ultimately it's a semiconductor device. So the effect of temperature on SCR will be same as the effect of temperature on a BJT as a diode, and we know that because whenever temperature increases, the reverse current increases. There is availability of more number of charge carriers. Same thing happens here. So now instead of applying a gate current with a value greater than or equal to IGT, what I do is that I try to increase the temperature of the junction J2. This is the alternate method which I am using. So what we write here is that if the temperature of the reverse biased junction J2 is increased above a critical value, SCR can be latched for values of E in less than the breakover voltage. Okay, so I repeat this is if the temperature of the reverse bias junction J2 is increased above a critical value, SCR can be latched for values of applied voltage less than the breakover voltage here. Okay, now in both absence and presence of gate drive, in both absence and presence of gate drive, so the technique uses this. For thermal triggering, first method is keep Ig equal to 0, then increase the ambient temperature of the junction J2, which will lead to SCR latching at E in less than VBO. This is method number 1. Second method is keep Ig greater than 0 but less than the gate threshold current IGT. Then increase ambient temperature of J2, and we will see that SCR latches at E in less than VBO provided IA is greater than IL. This is the sufficient condition for SCR latching. It's compulsory, right? So for thermal triggering, we have two options. The first option is that gate drive is not applied only. Gate drive is absent. And second option is even if the gate current is less than the threshold current, still SCR will latch. This is called as thermal triggering. Okay. The third method is called as light activated triggering. So if you remember, what is the symbol for an SCR? The symbol for an SCR is like this. Okay, so anode, cathode, and we have gate here. Okay, and we always show like this Ig, indicating that Ig must be applied. Gate pulse must be applied in order to latch the SCR. Okay, now instead of applying gate, what I do is that I fabricate the SCR in such a way that I intentionally make the gate region photosensitive or light sensitive. That actually leads to a special kind of an SCR called as LASCR, that is called as light activated SCR symbol. Okay, so I can modify the construction of an SCR in such a way that here the gate does not appear outside the device as a terminal, but it remains a light sensitive area. So LASCR is light activated SCR. Symbol is like this. Anode, cathode, gate is there, but then I will show lambda here. Okay, lambda indicates that it is photosensitive, light activated SCR. Okay, so these SCRs especially find applications in high voltage electrical engineering, where you have to actually trigger the SCR, but then you cannot connect it electrically. So light pulses are made to fall on the gate region, and then through that particular thing, the junction J2 is populated with charge carriers. Okay, so we can make some points here. We can say in this method, light having a calculated energy quantum, that is wavelength, we know that according to the formula E is equal to h nu, it is equal to hc upon lambda. So energy is proportional to wavelength. In this method, light having calculated energy quantum, that is wavelength, is made to fall on the reverse bias junction J2 through a glass window either in absence or presence of gate drive. Okay, so here junction J2 is intentionally made light sensitive so light exposure leads to breaking of covalent bonds thereby making charge carriers available. Okay. J2 is intentionally made light sensitive. So light exposure leads to breaking of covalent bonds, making charge carriers available. Okay. In this method, having light having calculated energy quantum is made to fall on junction J2. Okay. So this is called as an LASCR. So this is a conventional SCR and this is LASCR. Okay. Now we come to the last turn on method, which is called as high dV by dt triggering. First we'll make the statement and then we will justify that why this method leads to the latching of SCR or triggering of SCR and whether it is acceptable or not acceptable. Okay. So fourth is called as high dV by dt triggering. This is many a times asked in exam in the form that explain the transient model of an SCR or RC model of an SCR. So it is entitled high dV by dt triggering. Okay, yeah. So statement is if a rapidly changing voltage is applied at anode with respect to cathode, if a rapidly changing voltage is applied at anode with respect to cathode and the rate of change exceeds and the rate of change exceeds a datasheet rating called dV by dt rating of SCR, the SCR will trigger. The SCR will trigger even in absence of gate drive. Okay. So this statement is very important. We have to justify it in the remaining time. Okay. So if a rapidly changing voltage is applied at anode with respect to cathode and this rate of change exceeds the datasheet rating called dU by dt rating of SCR, SCR will trigger even in absence of gate drive, right? So now absence of gate drive means what? I don't want to trigger the SCR, but even when I don't want to trigger the SCR and if a rapidly changing voltage accidentally appears at the anode with respect to cathode, then it actually means it is called as false triggering. In absence of gate drive, called as false triggering. So I can say the above concept is known as false triggering and is undesirable. So now we have to justify. We have to justify that why the SCR triggers in the absence of gate drive if a rapidly changing voltage appears at anode with respect to cathode. So now let us frame some terms for the sake of discussion. So when I say rate of change, okay, rate of change, it means D, is it not? When I say rate of change of voltage, it means dV. And when I want to indicate rate of change of voltage at anode with respect to cathode, then actually I can write it as d VAK by dt. I will say it is d VAK by dt. Rate of change of anode to cathode voltage. Okay. So yeah. Now see what we have to do. In order to justify a statement, consider the planar structure of an SCR. Consider the planar structure of an SCR as we drew before. P1, P2, N1, N2. Okay. P1, P2, N1, N2. Anode, cathode, gate. Okay. Now junction J1, junction J2, junction J3. Okay. So nobody said that what I have written is wrong. P1, N1, P2, N2. So we have three PN junctions here. J1 is a junction formed between P1 and N1 layers. J2 is a junction formed between N1 and P2 layers. And J3 is a junction formed between P2 and N2 layers. Now students, let us take a detour to secondary engineering to understand what is the electrical equivalent of a PN junction, right? So here note that any PN junction is equivalent to R parallel C. All of us know that a PN junction is electrically equivalent to one resistor in parallel with a capacitor. We know that any PN junction is equivalent to R parallel C. In other words, I can say that this particular PN junction indicated like this, P and N. So this is nothing but equal to resistor in parallel with a capacitor. Okay. So students, if this is J, junction J, then this is the resistance RJ and this is the capacitance CJ. So every PN junction is a parallel connection between RJ and CJ. Got the point? So we have three PN junctions here. We have three PN junctions. Junction J1. So the junction J1 is equal to RJ1 parallel CJ1 J2 is equal to RJ2 parallel CJ2 and the junction J3 is equal to RJ3 parallel CJ3. So RJ3 parallel CJ3. Okay. So junction J1 is RJ1 parallel CJ1. J2 is RJ2 parallel CJ2. J3 is RJ3 parallel CJ3. This is the first concept. Second concept is that when a PN junction is forward and reverse bias, then this circuit equals what? This is the second concept. In the above equivalent models, if junction is equal to forward biased, understand that RJ tends to 0 and CJ tends to infinity. Okay. So if a PN junction is forward biased, the equivalent resistance is tending to 0 and the capacitance tending to infinity. On the other hand, if junction is reverse biased, understand that RJ tends to infinity and CJ is existing. Okay, that means you know that there is something called as a diffusion capacitance and transition capacitance, right? So one of these capacitances become prominent when a PN junction is forward or reverse bias. So now we not go deep into the semiconductor physics, but then we have to replace J1, J2, J3 by their equivalents, right? So replacing J1, J2 and J3 by their RC equivalents, we have to redraw it like this. So it is like this. Okay. So we have anode and junction J1 replaced by RJ1 parallel CJ1, going again J2 replaced by RJ2 parallel CJ2 and junction J3 replaced by RJ3 parallel CJ3. So again we have the cathode here, anode here, and we have the gate here. Okay, let us also write now RJ1 CJ1 RJ2 CJ2 RJ3 CJ3. Okay, now let us forward bias the SCR. Gate current is 0, let it remain open. So now I will forward bias the SCR by connecting a battery in this fashion, plus and minus. This is E in. So J1 is forward biased, J2 is reverse biased, and J3 is again forward biased, right? So we have forward biased, reverse biased, forward biased. And according to the second concept, that in forward biased junction, Rj tends to 0. So what is the equivalent now? Equivalent is, because J1 is forward biased, this goes and this is replaced by short circuit. J3 is forward biased, this goes replaced by short circuit. J2 is reverse biased, so this remains and this goes. That is why here now we have the potentials plus and minus, right? So now this model again now boils down to like this. Short circuit because CJ1 is not there. Then here RJ2 is not there, only CJ2 remains, and here again because it is forward biased like this, okay, and here I have cathode, here I have anode, right? So this is J1 equal to forward biased, this is J2 reverse biased, J3. So see students, now we are having a simple capacitor CJ2 connected between anode and cathode. Let us redraw it here and analyze. Okay, so now our structure is like this. We have a capacitor connected between anode and cathode. The potentials are like this. This is VAK. This is CJ2. Now, if I want to find out, now naturally we are defining what? That the current flowing through the device. The current flowing through the device is denoted as IA, that means this current. Okay, so current flows here, that means what? The current flowing through the device is nothing but also the current flowing through the capacitor. So now very simple, if I want to find out the formula for IA, it's very simple. For capacitor, I is equal to C dV by dt, and in our condition I is nothing but IA, capacitor is nothing but CJ2, and here this dV is nothing but the voltage VAK. Okay, so from the equivalent circuit of a PN junction, we have drawn the RC model of an SCR, and based on the concept of electrical equivalence of forward and a reverse bias PN junction, we have concluded that when the SCR is forward biased, at that time the SCR is electrically equivalent to only one capacitor connected between anode and cathode. Now here this particular equation, it says what? It says this, that the current flowing through the SCR IA is nothing but the junction capacitance CJ2 into rate of change of the anode to cathode voltage. So we can say here that since IA is equal to CJ2 into dVAK by VT, and CJ2 is actually a function of the SCR's fabrication, so CJ2 is constant. So therefore we can say the current IA is simply proportional to the rate of change of anode to cathode voltage. So what we say here is this, that if the rate of change of anode to cathode voltage, if it becomes greater than or equal to the dV by dt rating of SCR, then IA equals the latching current IL, then IA becomes greater than or equal to IL. So what is a mathematical computation now? Mathematical computation is very simple, that for SCR to latch, we know that IA should be greater than or equal to IL. Now according to our above transient model analysis, we know that IA is equal to Cj2 into dVak by dt, which now should be greater than or equal to IL. So that means dVak by dt greater than IL upon Cj2, right? So this IL upon Cj2 is nothing but the dV by dt rating of SCR. Yeah. So let us see what are the datasheet ratings of TWAN 612 for the SCR TWAN 612. Let me show you the datasheet directly. This is the datasheet of TWAN 612. Let us see what is the dV by dt rating. See, it is 5 volt per microsecond. You can see here, it is 5 volt per microsecond. TWAN 612, the dV by dt max is equal to 5 volts per microsecond. What the point? That means if a certain SCR has IL equal to say 10 milliamperes, then what is the value of Cj2? So then IA should be less than equal to IL less than equal to 10 milliamperes, and this IA is Cj2 into dVak by dt less than 10 milliamperes. So if the value of Cj2 is known, then the value of Cj2 is known, then the maximum allowable change of anode to cathode voltage can be calculated. Okay, so we will discuss something about snubbers and some numericals which are asked in university based on this mathematical formulas. Okay.